But what drove these people struggling just to survive to paint? The vast majority of these images seem to be animals. A shocking discovery has emerged from deep underground cave paintings that challenge everything we thought about human history. Experts are baffled by the age and style of these mysterious artworks. Could this find change our understanding of our ancestors? What do these ancient images really mean? How bold are they really? Join us as we uncover the truth, a hidden subsurface discovery revealed by routine survey work. The exploration started while doing typical geological fieldwork. A team was tasked with mapping out the land formations in a desolate area of Badlands. This part of the region was considered to be empty and not of much historical significance. No ancient structures had ever been found there. No ancient objects had been recorded. There were no indications of previous civilizations and nothing in past records indicated that the area had any worth beyond basic geological information. Due to this, scientists went into the task with little hope of finding anything interesting. The land was viewed as ordinary, peaceful, and not likely to reveal anything out of the ordinary. Everything shifted when a satellite scan uncovered a surprising discovery underground. An abnormal pattern was detected in one of the images, suggesting a hollow space where solid rock should have been. Initially, this finding was disregarded as a possible glitch. The operators suspected a technical issue was causing the unusual reading. Problems with software during scans are frequent, particularly in challenging terrains. As a precaution, the team decided to restart the system and conduct the scan again. The second scan gave the same result, showing the hollow space in the same place. To be sure, the team did more scans from different angles and with different filters. They also checked older data from the area. All tests showed the same thing. The anomaly stayed the same and didn't go away or change. This consistent result showed that it wasn't just a random error or system problem. As analysts examined the scans more carefully, they noticed another interesting detail. Unlike natural underground caves, the shape of the hollow area did not have the typical rough and uneven outline caused by water, pressure, and erosion. Natural caves usually have walls that curve and twist without a clear structure. But this void was different. It had straight edges and defined corners, and its depth changed in a smooth and controlled manner rather than the irregular patterns seen in caves formed by natural forces. These unique features raised concerns among the analysts. Some researchers were cautious when they suggested that the formation looked intentionally shaped. It was hard to believe this idea, especially because of where it was found. The location was very isolated, and there was no record of any past human activity there. There was no obvious explanation for why something would have been built in that spot. However, the shape of the empty space could not be explained by natural geological processes. This discovery showed how much of the underground world on Earth is still a mystery that has not been explored. The team reached out to local guides to gain more knowledge about the area. These guides shared information that had been passed down from their experiences and travels. The guides mentioned that people usually stayed away from that part of the ridge because it was considered strange land. Some even claimed that animals avoided grazing in that area. Others mentioned that sound didn't behave normally there, with shouting not producing much of an echo. Although these reports weren't scientifically proven, they added to the worry already raised by the scans. Due to the increasing evidence, a small team was sent to investigate the physical site. When they got to the coordinates, they saw a part of the ridge that caught their attention. They observed a shallow dent in the rock surface. The stone in that area seemed broken in a way that was not typical of erosion patterns seen in other parts of the Badlands. The breakage seemed more concentrated and organized. Instead of being scattered by wind or water, handheld scanners were used at the location to confirm the satellite data. The scans showed there was a hollow space behind the fractured rock matching the depth observed from above. This confirmation was crucial in verifying the existence and location of the underground void. Upon closer examination, a straight vertical line in the rock face was discovered. Additionally, a strip of stone nearby had a distinct color different from the rest of the material. The characteristics indicated that the area might have been an opening in the past. As time passed, it seemed to have caved in and closed off. They found traces of organic material in a location where it shouldn't have lasted. The existence of this material implied that something or someone had come into contact with the entrance before it caved in. When all the evidence was considered as a whole, it was clear that the team had found a sealed entrance to an underground cavity. This discovery was supported by multiple scans, the shape of the rock, the airflow, and chemical markers, the tunnel's hidden design, and unanswered questions. Once the sealed entrance was completely cleared, the team encountered a surprising discovery right away. The tunnel went down steeply, much steeper than anyone had expected. This abrupt drop took everyone by surprise, causing the group to proceed cautiously and inspect the area more closely. Upon shining their lights on the walls, they noticed another unusual detail. The surfaces were remarkably smooth, indicating prolonged and deliberate contact over a long period of time. The walls in certain areas had a slight gleam, which usually happens when the surface is repeatedly touched, brushed, or rubbed in the same manner. This shine doesn't appear quickly and requires regular movement. While examining the tunnel, the team noticed that the worn spots followed a specific path along the corridor. A geologist noted that the consistent wear pattern couldn't be from random natural causes, as it was too uniform and controlled. This discovery raised concerns because it indicated that something had traveled through the tunnel multiple times before the chamber collapsed. The team exploring the passage were surprised to learn it had been used in the past. This discovery made them wonder about the tunnel's purpose and who or what had passed through it. As they ventured further, they noticed a strange phenomenon. Sound behaved differently inside. Voices sounded softer and footsteps did not echo as expected. This made it hard to determine how far away a sound was because it faded quickly. Some team members even stopped talking altogether due to the eerie quietness and heightened sense of alertness. As per notes written in the field, but not verified, some team members believed that the silence in the tunnel was very intense. They sensed that something in the tunnel was influencing the way sound traveled. Although it was hard to measure, this feeling was experienced by multiple people. As they progressed, they couldn't ignore the peculiar shape of the tunnel. It would suddenly narrow and then widen at regular interval. Each widening created a small side space, branching off from the main corridor. The side spaces were vacant with no clutter, loose rocks, or mineral deposits. They seemed neat and untouched, not typical of a natural cave. An archaeologist observed the evenly spaced layout, suggesting intentional design. The consistent pattern across sections sparked curiosity. Team members speculated whether the tunnel was deliberately constructed. No one could figure out who made the passage or why it was hidden in a remote location. As the group went further, their lights showed different features than before. Some mineral streaks in the rock glowed faintly green when exposed to the light. The glow was not random, but formed long lines that continued throughout the passage. The group carefully followed the glowing lines, trying to figure out why they were glowing. Some team members thought the glow was just a natural part of the rock. Others wondered why the glow only appeared in certain spots and followed distinct patterns. This made some team members considered that the glowing lines might have been purposely placed to help navigate through the cave. Air readings further complicated the situation. It was predicted that oxygen levels would drop at this depth, but the monitors displayed no significant change. The measurements stayed steady. One technician observed that the data resembled what would be seen in a controlled environment rather than a deep underground area. There were no apparent vents or openings that could account for this equilibrium. The still air made it seem like the tunnel's atmosphere had been controlled before. Although hard to believe, the evidence didn't provide a clear alternative explanation. Upon closer inspection of the walls, the team discovered more markings. Straight, perfectly placed lines were etched into various parts of the stone. The markings found did not appear to be made by stone tools because they were very neat and precise. The precision of the marks indicated that a more precise instrument was used, unlike anything seen in early human history. The team had different opinions about the discovery, with some thinking the marks might be natural formations. However, others disagreed, pointing out the consistency and placement of the marks as evidence against that explanation. The situation became more complicated when vibration monitors were inspected. The results revealed empty spaces further inside the mountain that weren't part of the known cave layout. These chambers seemed to be located behind solid walls in a strange arrangement that didn't seem natural. Each reading suggested the presence of a larger hidden structure beyond the known tunnels. As the team kept moving ahead, they started to feel like the descent was planned and not random. The glowing streaks, stable air, precise markings, and hidden chambers all indicated the same direction. Evidence of advanced early humans. The chamber at the bottom of the descent was bigger and more organized than expected. The floor was flat, solid, and surprisingly undamaged. In the middle, there were fragments that seemed carefully placed around a stone platform. At first, the team thought these fragments were just broken pieces of rock. However, upon closer examination, they realized that the fragments had clean edges and were all the same thickness. The shaping was precise, unlike anything seen before in the area. The skill level suggested a method of working materials that was not thought to exist during that time. The fragments indicated that the chamber was intentionally arranged and prepared, showing a level of planning and craftsmanship that was beyond what was expected. As the team was recording these fragments, an archaeologist investigating the opposite end of the room found something significant. They found a skeletal arm partially buried in compacted soil. More digging revealed a complete body lying on its side in a specific position. Quickly, 2 more skeletons were found, each placed deliberately like the first. It was clear that these bodies were not randomly scattered, but placed intentionally in an organized manner, indicating a cultural practice previously undiscovered for this period. The team quickly gathered samples for radiocarbon dating. When the results came back, it sparked intense debates among the archaeologists. The remains were determined to be around 120,000 years old, much older than the established timeline for organized human culture in the area. During that period, it was thought that humans didn't construct chambers, develop storage methods, or establish structured living areas. This finding questioned the existing understanding of human behavior in the region. Upon further investigation, more surprising information was uncovered from the skeletons. Although the proportions appeared human, they were different than usual. The limb bones were a bit longer than usual, and the skulls had thicker cranial ridges. These characteristics were present in all the individuals and were not seen as abnormalities. The anthropologist discovered that the skeletons did not belong to any known human group from that time or area. The findings implied the presence of an unknown population that had not been documented before. Signs of organized activity were visible around the skeletons. The clay deposits near the platform had repeated impressions that formed regular shapes similar to storage pits arranged in a grid. This suggested that the chamber had once contained supplies or objects kept in a specific order. This kind of organization was surprising for people from this time period, as early human life was thought to be more disorderly and unorganized. Above the layer of clay, scientists discovered a small amount of soot. Testing revealed that it was different from the soot typically produced by burning wood or plants at ancient sites. This could mean that there was a deliberate and controlled way of creating light or heat, showing a high level of technological knowledge that had not been seen before. Some researchers believed that this finding could be proof of a more advanced lighting technique. Several sediment samples had pieces of woven fibers. These fibers lasted longer than anticipated, suggesting the chamber had stayed stable for a long time. Finding these fibers showed that the people in the chamber knew how to weave, a skill not typically linked to humans from this era, and showcasing the advanced abilities of this group. The walls of the chamber had light markings that looked like simple shapes and lines. These markings seemed to be a layout or reference system, although their meaning was unclear. The way they were organized implied they were purposely designed and not just random scratches. When looking at all the evidence, it was clear that the culture was highly structured and organized. The burials were carefully planned and arranged. The chamber was well kept and used in a way that showed care, planning, and knowledge of materials. Objects were stored in specific places, and light and heat were controlled precisely. They also used specific weaving techniques, hidden rituals of the ancient chamber. The team had to walk single file through a tight passage to reach the next chamber. They had to be cautious with each step. As they progressed, the space opened up more, allowing them to adjust their lights. The walls started to show signs of the people who had been there before. It was evident that the place had been used for more than just shelter, as there were signs of rituals. Initially, the marks on the walls were barely visible due to mineral deposits covering them. The team delicately removed the loose sediment, revealing shapes that were drawn in dark pigments with uneven strokes. Some shapes were basic lines grouped together, while others were curved patterns that repeated on the walls. The designs did not resemble any prehistoric art known in the area. The positioning of the shapes seemed deliberate, as if they were arranged to lead the viewer's eye from one spot to another. Near the back wall, the team discovered a stone slab that was slightly elevated from the floor. The surface of the slab had been smoothed out with great precision. There were remnants of ash, pigment, and an unknown organic substance stuck to the edges of the slab. Further examination indicated that the slab was likely used multiple times for ceremonial purposes. Some team members thought it could be an altar, while others believed it was used as a platform for preparing materials for rituals. However, neither explanation completely explained the residue or the strategic placement of the slab in the chamber. Its precise location suggested that it held significant importance. Next to the stone slab, there were old paintings of figures on the lower wall. The passage of time has caused damage to the artwork, with only bits and pieces still visible. Small human-like figures were kneeling in a half-circle with a larger figure above them extending its arms outward. The head and upper part of the larger figure had worn away, making it hard to identify. Even though parts of the painting were missing, it looked like a ceremonial scene. Initial thoughts were that the smaller figures were showing submission or making an offering, but without the complete image, the exact meaning was unclear. On a different wall, handprints in 2 colors were seen. One row had full hands pressed against the wall. The row below it had hands with missing fingers or changed shapes, suggesting they were intentionally altered before being imprinted. This finding made some team members uneasy. Some thought the prints might represent various groups or roles in the society. Others thought they could be symbolic markers used in rituals. No one could agree, so the debate continued. The chamber's floor presented a new mystery, with stones laid out in a near-perfect circle. Evidence of fires being repeatedly lit along the inner edge was found, indicating it was not used for cooking or mere heat. It seemed to be part of ritual activities based on the way it was arranged. The wall markings, handprints, and stone formations revealed that the culture acted with deliberate purpose. Each element had a specific significance. The chamber was even more impressive because of how old the remains were. None of the ceremonial aspects matched the time period suggested by the earlier found skeletal remains. There was clear proof of complex ritual behavior, but no one could explain how these practices were around so long ago. Each detail brought up more questions than answers. The team finished recording the last part of the chamber when they saw a blocked passage at the far end. The stones on the ceiling were arranged in an unusual way compared to the rest of the debris. It seemed like they were intentionally placed there, not from a collapse. It looked like a purposely built barrier. When the crew started to remove the blockage, the temperature in the room changed a bit. A small stream of air that was not moist came out from behind the rocks. Whatever was kept sealed inside had been kept safe for a long time. The intentional sealing suggested hidden secrets from centuries ago, just waiting to be discovered. Every part of the chamber showed that it was intentionally created. The markings, handprints, stone slab, painted figures, and fire ring all demonstrated a culture that could plan things carefully, think symbolically, and engage in repeated ceremonial practices. The Chamber of Impossible Paintings. When the last obstacle was removed and the heavy slab moved, a musty gust of air came out of the dark space. The entrance widened gradually, just enough for the team to enter. Their lights illuminated the chamber, and everyone stopped in their tracks. The walls were adorned with paintings that were big, intricate, and remarkably well maintained. The colors appeared bright, almost as if they had just been painted, despite the chamber's old age. It was baffling to everyone how artwork of such antiquity had stayed undisturbed for so many years. The largest panel they looked at first showed a group of human figures standing close together in a circle. Each body had detailed lines on the arms, ribs, and skull, resembling diagrams of internal body structures with a surprising level of accuracy for the time period. Based on skeletal remains found at the site, the scene was estimated to be 120,000 years old. A medical expert pointed out that some features depicted were not known to early civilizations. It was a mystery how humans from that ancient time could have had such advanced knowledge. Next to the circle was another figure taller than the humans with long arms and a slim body. This figure did not resemble any known human species. Its head was elongated and had no distinct facial features. The way it stood suggested it was watching over the group. A line of dark pigment extended from its hand to the humans, connecting them in a purposeful manner. Some team members thought it looked like a teaching moment, as if the figure was guiding the humans. The following panel was even more disturbing. It depicted a person laying on the ground with two others standing beside them. Above them, a tall figure who was not human loomed over, looking down as if supervising. The person on the ground had their chest opened, revealing their internal organs in a clear and shocking way. Some experts believed it showed a ritual sacrifice, while others thought it could be showing surgery or scientific examination. None of the researchers felt comfortable stating their interpretation out loud. Further down the wall, there were pictures of people standing around a fire. The flames in the painting looked like they were moving because they were painted with different colors. The people in the picture had their arms raised, and there was a tall figure above them. There were also smaller shapes that looked like broken bodies or falling objects around the tall figure. The message of the painting was not clear, but it seemed to be about either destruction or sacrifice. Another mural depicted a scene where the land was falling apart. Shadowy figures emerged from the ground as people ran towards a small opening. In one corner, a tall person stood by themselves, staring at the destruction. The picture suggested that this person knew what was going to happen. However, no scientific evidence supported a disaster of that magnitude happening at the time suggested by the room. Each wall in the chamber had drawings that questioned our understanding of how humans develop. The accuracy and detail of the drawings, along with the presence of an unknown creature, made it difficult to date the chamber. The images went against what was known in science, history, and biology at the time. Once the team safely took the paintings out of the cave, they realized that they had discovered something that was very complex and difficult to understand. The details in the artworks were beyond their knowledge. There were too many differences from what was known about history to ignore. The team decided to send their findings to experts for further examination. The responsibility of interpreting the chamber's contents moved from the field team to these specialists, who now had the challenge of figuring out the true meaning behind the images. The chamber was still a mystery. Each wall was covered with strange knowledge, intricate details about life, and depictions of instruction, devastation, and ceremonies. The human-like figures, their symbols, and the supernatural observer did not fit into any known period of history. No previous studies could clarify anything about the chamber. It was up to the experts to figure out the messages in these paintings. They needed to analyze every aspect, draw connections to the past, and try to decipher the significance of information that seemed impossible to know. The chamber is a symbol of something that is difficult to fully understand. The walls of the chamber contain information that could change our knowledge of human history and evolution. The images within the chamber raise questions about intelligence, biology, and culture that date back further than thought before. Scientists are still struggling to make sense of the chamber, its figures, and its intricate details. The discovery showed the challenges of conducting field research. The team was able to record, protect, and watch. But understanding the findings required specific expertise. The chamber presented a situation where the team had to face something unfamiliar. The chamber paintings that should not exist. The pictures captured in the chamber were quickly shared with experts. People had strong and instant reactions to the images. No one particular group wanted to be in charge of figuring out what the team had found. Some archaeologists believed the paintings were added much later than the chamber was made. But tests showed that the paint was just as old as the walls of the chamber. This revelation made many experts uneasy. Anthropologists closely studied the drawings and observed that it was unlikely for any prehistoric group to have the ability to create such detailed anatomical images. Some experts argued that the images were symbolic rather than realistic, but the precise internal structures suggested otherwise. A couple of specialists acknowledged that the drawings looked like diagrams found in ancient medical texts that were written thousands of years later. This discovery caused a halt in the conversation, as no one could explain how this knowledge could have existed during the time period indicated by the dating. The tall figure caused a lot of tension in the room. Experts couldn't come to a consensus on its meaning. Some thought it was the spiritual symbol or a mythical being. Others noted that the proportions were too exact to be made up. A few researchers compared it to figures in ancient cave art from different areas, but none of those examples had as much detail as this one. The figure kept showing up, always in a guiding or observing role. This consistency worried many researchers and hinted at some kind of influence, rather than just being a myth. Scenes of medical procedures and sacrifices led to more arguments. Medical experts agreed that the way the chest and internal organs were shown was correct, and not just a guess. Some believe the group found these details through trial and error. Others said there is no archaeological proof of such advanced practices back then. The debate changed from interpretation to worry swiftly. Geologists got involved in the discussion after looking at the mural of destruction. They tried to compare it to past impact events and environmental disasters, but found no similar matches. The level of devastation shown in the image was unlike anything documented from that time. Some researchers suggested that the scene might be a prediction of a future event rather than something that had already happened, causing even more unease. Towards the end of the first week of studying the paintings, two main ideas emerged. One group believed the paintings were symbolic and showed a creative culture with advanced imagination. The other group argued that the discoveries challenged what we know about human history. Despite their differences, both sides agreed on one thing: the paintings were not expected to exist. As additional specialists arrived, the conversations became more intense. The chamber had pushed the scientific community into an uncomfortable position. The main point was no longer just about interpreting the paintings. Instead, the main issue became how the paintings were even created. The information from the chamber was not meant to be shared with the public as it was. Emails later mentioned in other reports revealed that some departments suggested holding off on sharing images until there was more context. They claimed it was to avoid spreading false information. The real reason was that there was no explanation that could hold up under public questioning. As the discussions became more intense, access to the site was slowly limited. Only a few researchers were still involved, and they only got part of the documentation instead of everything. Early analysts started to see differences in how their statements were summarized. Some said their explanations were changed to seem more careful. Others noticed their worries were taken out completely. It was unclear if this was on purpose or due to administrative control. The official reports about the chamber made it seem like an unusual but controllable find, but they didn't mention the alarming scenes that had worried many. Some researchers secretly wrote notes about their concerns. These notes, passed around discreetly among academics, revealed a fear that the paintings were not meant for the creator's own people. The appearance of the tall figure and the accurate anatomy and scenes of destruction hinted that the artists thought they were recording something important. It wasn't clear if the purpose was a warning, a historical record, or a message. Experts are still trying to figure out the meaning of the chamber, its artwork, and the mysterious tall